You're someone with a vision for your practice, for your side hustle, and for your personal journey. But when it comes to establishing your path on how to get to where you want to be with your practice, things get a little messy. You're also someone who'd prefer to go in person instead of to groups and listening to everyone else's story. To me, it sounds like you could benefit from one-on-one consulting with our experienced practice of the practice consultants. From $5.95 a month and up, you can work with a consultant that will give you more direction and practical tried and tested tips matched to you and your goals. For more information, visit practiceofthepractice.com/apply. Again, that's practiceofthepractice.com/apply. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 1374. I'm Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast, where we help you build a thriving private practice you absolutely love. I am so excited to have you here with me today. We love digging into all the things that have to do with the skills of a private practice, which is why I'm so excited to have Dr. Marie Fang with me, who is a licensed psychologist in private practice in San Diego, California. She's also the creator of Private Practice Skills, a platform teaching therapists how to start and grow a sustainable private practice that aligns with their values while drawing in their favorite clients to work with. Marie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be back.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you back to the show. It's been a while. We both have grown and stayed in business, so that's always good in this environment.
Yeah, I was just thinking right before we logged on, I'm thinking like you were like the most longest spanning, you probably hear this all the time, like you were podcasting before podcasting was cool. I've been here for a while.
If it's cool now.
Yeah, maybe. Is it still cool? Yeah, hopefully. I think it's cool. Hopefully.
I think it's cool. I like it.
I listen to podcasts.
Yeah. Well, I want to start with you're having some health stuff going on that you said you would share with us. And I think it's so important to think about our life outside of our businesses, because when we build businesses that, well, I won't tell the point of the story. Tell me what's going on health-wise.
Yeah. So this is live right now. I mean, it is the time of the recording. It's been almost 7 weeks since I suddenly lost hearing in just one of my ears, my right ear. And it actually started happening like right in the middle of a therapy session with a client. I was thinking like, oh, I'm suddenly having trouble hearing. And then it just kept getting worse over the next few hours until it went away completely. And so that's been taking up quite a bit of my time and energy for the last
like it just like came out of nowhere, or there was like a traumatic thing that happened to it, or
it's called, I'll take a little moment to plug this because it's most often misdiagnosed even in urgent care and emergency rooms, but it's called sudden sensory neural hearing loss. So if you suddenly lose your hearing, make sure you get that checked for. But it happens suddenly. It could be that I had a virus that injured the kind of inner parts of my ear. It could be, it could be any number of things. They usually don't figure out the cause, but yeah, your hearing just sort of drops off very suddenly. So I've been tending to that because I did some of the initial treatments that are kind of standard of care, and I didn't get any hearing back. So now I'm in the phase where they call it salvage therapy, where my chances are not as good of getting hearing back, but I actually have been getting some hearing back the last week or so. So now I'm like doubling down on my current treatment, but it's taking up most of my work week right now.
Like, what does that treatment even look like?
Yeah. So obviously this is not medical advice, as we know, but just giving that disclaimer. So in my personal journey, I've had 3 different, they basically threw everything at me. So the initial treatment was going on a high dose prednisone, which is kind of the standard of care, gold standard treatment. And then they also injected the steroid directly into my ear. I finished both of those treatments a while ago. And so now it's the kind of Hail Mary phase where there's this treatment called hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which I had never heard of. But I literally go into a chamber at UCSD's emergency medicine department with several other patients with an array of wounds and ailments. And we basically go on a simulated like submarine ride. Like they pressurize the chamber like your Instant Pot We're under pressure, and then we breathe 100% oxygen for a couple hours every day, and that pushes a whole bunch of oxygen like straight into your plasma, and it's supposed to, under some circumstances, it is evidence-based to heal certain types of wounds like burn victims and things like that. So sudden hearing is one of the evidence-based treatments. So I've been hanging out in the chamber every afternoon with a bunch of very friendly strangers.
I was going to
No
ask you, do you
devices.
can you talk to the people, or do you have to be quiet like for the treatment?
Well, the oxygen is delivered in this like astronaut hood. So for that part, you can't talk, but you get there like 45 minutes early. You do a whole bunch of prep. Everyone has to get their vitals checked. So it's kind of like waiting around at the airport or something like that for a while. And you definitely kind of start to bond, right? Because you're all there for a pretty major reason usually. So yeah, we do end up kind of getting to know each other and swapping stories.
So what are you happy that you set up in your business like years ago that now allows you to put in this much time into your health?
Yeah. I'm grateful on so many levels. Oh, I'm like almost tearing up about it. Yeah. I think about this every day as I go. And of course it's disruptive to my schedule and all this stuff, but it's like I booked extra childcare. And luckily insurance is covering all of his treatment, which is amazing. You know, pay for parking and it's adding all of my therapy clients having to shuffle around, but I still can't see everybody. So like, that lost income and doing that it's probably going to be about a month that I'm doing this total. So that's, a big change and it feels very doable. So I just feel very grateful. Some of the, when I first started private practice skills, my goal was to be flexible because I wanted to start growing a family, which happened, right? Both that I started a business that gave me a lot of financial flexibility or flexibility with my time while still generating income. And I've leveraged that very much as I've now had 2 kids and they're still small, but getting bigger and getting to spend a lot of time with them, but still generating like a very comfortable income. And then now I'm leveraging it for my health. That there's a lot of kind of work that I did early on to kind of have this passive income that is still coming in addition to kind of like, the emergency rainy day fund. So this would be a rainy day.
Yeah. Rainy day indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about how you kind of untwined your time from money, what are things that you've done to do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a mindset shift because I still love seeing therapy clients so much, but that one-on-one exchange of like, I sit here with you for an hour and then I get paid for that hour. If I'm sick, if I'm anything, I'm not there for that hour. And so I don't get paid. And realizing that if I wanted to have flexibility, I'd have to have a different way of getting paid. And so at first I'd intended it more of like, oh, can I have something I can do where I can pop open my laptop? Let's say, when my kids were smaller, if they're in a nap or something, pop open my laptop, but I can be interrupted anytime, close my laptop, I'm working on something that generates income. And you can't do that with therapy of like, oh, sorry, we're only 20 minutes in, but my child's awake now, all done. So that's how I thought of it more at first, but realized like a lot of the income streams will kind of hold steady, even if I'm in a season like right now where it's sort of like, I will see you in a month to a lot of my business practices right now. I mean, we had this interview on the schedule and I'm like, that actually works with my current schedule. So all good there. But so many things are just out the window. So yeah, a lot of it is held steady by like sponsorships and affiliate sales, and then just kind of ongoing SEO. People are visiting my website, even though I haven't touched it. And maybe they're buying courses or clicking on different links, that sort of thing. So there's stuff that kind of carries on based on things that I've worked on, but I'm not working on them today. Which is something I always like to emphasize when we're talking about passive income. Like, I did do work, I'm just not doing it in this moment.
Right. Now, it's one thing like when we're talking consulting and helping people with their private practice skills, but like, how do you think regular therapists that maybe don't want to become a consultant to other therapists that have great skills in anxiety or with couples or post-divorce or whatever the thing is, how can they start to build more passive income that isn't just based on individual therapy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many ways to build it, and even like I even think not just passive income, but like using different types of energy,
Mhm,
or like maybe I might not be able to see 10 therapy clients a week right now in this kind of current rainy day season with my health. But I can hop on a podcast like this, or
mhm,
was just before this working on building a workshop that I'm going to give next week. And that pulls like a different type of energy. So there's that piece too. But I think there's a lot of ways, like I always say, start small, like dream
mhm.
big, but start small, right? Like, how do we make that into the baby steps? So if it is that you're an expert on, say, couples and I don't know, whatever your kind of special thing is with your special sauce is with couples that you find yourself, maybe it's what you're repeating over and over again, or people are asking you about, or there's stuck points. Are there easy kind of like deliverables you can create, whether it doesn't have to be fancy, like it could even be like could be like an ebook or um, something that you could reasonably do in a small amount of time and just kind of put it out there. So it could be like a short video lesson, or it could be even just blogging or something else like that that could build towards something bigger later. Um, I don't want to kind of like confine it to like, here's the three options because
Yeah.
there's so many ways, but you can kind of use your creative juices and see like, how do I make that into something small that I can share with people that would add value to their lives.
Mhm.
I think
So it
that's a
sounds like
big
what
one.
I'm hearing is just like finding a way to just like build an audience or test content to see what sticks. And then as things stick, then to say, oh, okay, a bunch of people are interested in what I wrote in this blog post about anxiety or my podcast when I was, a guest on this show. And then kind of step further into that to see what that audience wants.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And if you can throw in the mix a way, I'm always about email lists. So if there's a way
Mhm.
of like, maybe it's a freebie or maybe it's really affordable, but now, people bought your handy dandy ebook about how to work through this thing that comes up in couples or something. Now they're on your email list. So now if there's
Yeah.
something that grows or you develop later, you can also email about that, which I know is like the least sexy thing to talk about, but it's been I could just toot that horn for ages and ages. It still
Well,
holds
how
true.
do you think through email lists? Like we have our way that we teach, and I can share that. But how do you think through an email list and kind of what does engage people in it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we could talk, there's many, like, how do you get someone onto your email list or how do you keep someone on your email list?
All of it.
Or
Like
any of it?
how do you think through email lists?
Yeah. Well, I see like even just very simply, like my email list has the most engagement out of any other platform. My podcast, my YouTube videos. So like those are the things that look flashy. People are like, you have this many subscribers. I'm like, people are reading my emails way more than they're
Mhm.
watching my videos, that sort of thing. So if I think of it that way, as like that's my primary platform. And I try to see it as special. Like they've subscribed, they gave me their email, which is like I have to be trustworthy with it. So I try to share information that is it feels special in some way, which for me, it might be like, I'm going to add some personal touch. You're not just getting the rehashed version of what I shared in my video this
Mhm.
week, for example, but maybe I'm going to add an additional tip that wasn't in the video, or I'm going to summarize it in a way that's really easy for you to just, too long didn't read kind of thing through it. What are them? If you only get one takeaway, here's this, and here's how I've used it. So I really try to make it feel like a value add, hopefully, for the people interested in the type of content that I offer, and that it feels consistent to whatever value add I hopefully offered that made them first say, "Oh, sure, I'll give you my email." Whether they signed up for a freebie or they ended up on my email list for because they attended something.
Yeah. A year from today, what would your dream private practice look like? Would you spend less time chasing claims or only working with clients who value your skill set? What if you had a network to reach out to for questions or free continuing ed? What if you had more time for yourself? Alma empowers you to confidently accept insurance backed by an all in one EHR that simplifies scheduling, documentation, and day-to-day practice operations. With a network of engaged providers and free CE resources, Alma makes it easy for you to build the practice of your dreams on your terms. Alma believes that when therapists get the support they need, mental health care gets better for everyone. Learn more about Alma at helloalma.com/Joe. Your dream practice is closer than you think. Get started now at helloalma.com/Joe. That's helloalma.com/Joe. Now, what do you think stands in the way of people going beyond individual therapy?
Oh, wow. I mean, I just think of people I know. I hear a lot of, I know that we actually talked about this last time too. That imposter syndrome comes up a lot.
Mm.
Like, it tends to sound like, oh, I don't have anything special to add, or I'm not as interesting or as cool or as expert or as specialized as, Joe Sanok. Right? Like, I'm never going to be able to do what they do, which is maybe it might say, yeah, of course you have to do what you do and do it well
Yeah.
and not try to mimic somebody else. But there's a lot of this, like, I don't really know if what I have to say is that interesting or what I have to offer is that interesting, or maybe I'm not expert enough. And so that kind of gets in our own way. But if we realize that all of us have really valuable things to share. No one is an exception. And it's more about asking, yeah, what is my kind of individual secret sauce or skill
Yeah.
set or value add? What's my kind of unique voice? Then that can help, I think, combat
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think that it's also like, you can talk about private practice skills. I can talk about private practice skills, but the examples you're going to give and the life experience you have and where you were raised and all of your background is going to be completely different than Midwest Joe, who was raised in, Northern Michigan and, had my own path. And so I
Yeah.
think that, and people may resonate with the fact that I worked at CMH and wraparound and foster care, and, other people might resonate with you if you did different things. And so
Hmm.
that idea that like there's only enough for one or two people, it often reminds me, like, I've been watching the Eddie Murphy documentary about his
Mm.
story and how at the time it was like there was only room for like one black stand-up comedian, and it was like there's only room for one white stand-up comedian, female,
Yeah.
and it's like we've moved past that in a lot of ways where we can just say, hey, like, I've got my people that really enjoy me and I'm going to introduce them to Marie on the show, and you got your people that follow you, and you introduce, like, it just feels like there isn't room for just one or two consultants. It's like, or one or two people that talk anxiety, or one or two people that talk about life change. Like, Brene Brown does not have the corner on the market. Like, we can all say you can talk about things that are adjacent to that, and that's okay.
Yes.
You're going to have a different perspective.
Absolutely. I always like to, I went on a trip to Carlsbad, which is just like northern San
Yeah.
Diego, with my girlfriends this last weekend. And we were in the central Carlsbad village, and we walked around and we're like, there's like 4 or 5 coffee shops on this one tiny city block. And of course, we found our favorite one and we kept going back to the one we
Yeah.
liked. But, all of them were busy, right? So
Mhm.
I like that metaphor too of like, okay, well, that coffee shop is going to be a good fit for us because we like this thing. And somebody else wants to go to the coffee shop that has all the cute plants in it. And then this coffee shop has cute art. And so you Instagram it, right? And it's just different flavors for different folks. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing in the land of, wherever you might extend beyond one-on-one therapy. And also the same thing with one-on-one therapy too, right? Just marketing your therapy practice, that you have your own kind of special sauce.
Yeah. Now, how do you decide what you're going to work on next?
Oh, I used to be a lot more strategic. And if I'm completely honest at this point, like 7.5 years in, I kind of just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Earlier on, I was very strategic about, okay, how do I make sure I have a plan that I can market? But maybe that's part of kind of the um, a business that's grown and changed over the years. And also, I think a way to combat burnout when, I mean, you've been doing this for way longer than I have, but when you've been doing this for, if you're in year 1 or 2, you're kind of like, how do I build this thing that's going to
Yeah.
stay stable? And then once it's stable, it's sort of like, can I try something new that other people aren't doing? And it might not work, but there's enough of a foundation. It might not work, meaning people might not be interested in this thing that I'm kind of curious to try or interested in doing. So at
Mhm.
this point, it's like, whatever the heck Murray feels like doing right now.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And sometimes I have these bursts of energy and I do a bunch, and sometimes it kind of looks like coasting for a
Mhm.
season. Even if I have more time than I do right now, it's just
Yeah.
kind of where my creative energy goes. So that's where I'm at now. But I had a very different approach kind of at the beginning. So I
I
don't
think
think that would have worked in day one.
you also have to know, are you in a season of building or a season of plateau, or like, because there are times it's like, okay, we are positioned to grow, let's grow. And for us, probably for 2 years we've been working on infrastructure operations to position ourselves to grow the practice academy, to grow consulting, to be positioned to do a fast growth. Whereas, the last 2 years has been like, let's just maintain, and we want to really reinvest in like the operational side. And we switched a bunch of things up. And so I think that it's important to kind of know, like, what are the money makers? So for us, we often say, well, what are the plates we have to keep spinning? So for us, that's the podcast, that's the practice academy, that's consulting, that's podcast sponsorship. Those are the things that pay the bills, keep everyone employed on the team. But then there's spaghetti at the wall. If I want to write another book, if we want to launch a new service, if we want to do a new conference, like the 7-figure practice retreat that we did in Dominican, those are things that it's like, we don't know if we're going to get the amount of people that we hope to get. And just knowing, like, okay, what's our break even point? Like, do we want to do it even if we lose some money on it or not? That's where I think that once you know what your basic kind of foundations or numbers are, it's a lot easier than to throw that spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah. Right. It's not as risky.
Yeah.
I think of like thinking of like financial investing, right? Where it's like you probably wouldn't want to take 100% of your income and throw it all into the stock market. I don't know if somebody is doing that and that's sage wisdom, then maybe I don't know. But you probably want to take a sort of reasonable chunk of your money and say, the stock market is volatile, but if I lose all this money, I still have all the foundation underneath, and it's, diversified in different places. Kind of
Yeah.
feels a little bit similar. Like, yeah, I might not see that money come back. And
Yeah.
there's
Well,
enough
it's like there's
margin.
different areas that you can kind of, if the reward could be huge, but the risk is like, yeah, we might lose all that money, but we lost some time. To just know kind of what our own risk tolerance is towards things also.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How much it costs you energetically as well too is such a
Yeah.
big question.
Now, it's called private practice skills. What are some skills that you think are just like in the last little bit here essential that listeners master?
For private practice
Yeah.
specifically, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I think I've said this. This is one of the things I've said since day one over and over again. Like figuring out your brand and your brand identity. And that could mean there's different threads within that. But I just gave that example of the coffee shops, right? If every single
Mhm.
coffee shop on that block looked exactly the same, then we'd have a problem, right? But that's okay. This one's about the aesthetic, and this one's about, well, we got this coffee and we roasted it this special way. And so, what is it for you in your therapy practice that it is either like most important to you or most values aligned, reflects your passions, your mission, maybe who do you want to serve? How do you do that in your own unique way? And kind of getting that like so dialed in. And I'd say, especially now, if we're kind of adding the layer of like, we're in the land where AI is like very much present
Mhm.
in our lives, and clients are finding therapists through AI searches, which are much more detailed, much more specific and tailored. It's not just, is there anyone who sells coffee near me? But it's like, can you help me find the coffee shop with this?
Mhm.
And the AI can help recommend you more clearly if you are more clear about who you serve and what you're about, kind of your unique take on that.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like, if you can land that, then you can just apply that to whatever your marketing approaches are, apply it even in session to how you care for your clients. It kind of goes uh, into every corner of how you run your business, like clinically, strategically, admin, all of that. So that's still my top tip.
Mhm. So good. The last question I always ask is, if every private practitioner in the world were listening right now, what would you want them to know?
Well, I mean, so many things, but really, I think the key is like I hope folks are building something that feels like it aligns with their life or their values. Something that feels like, what would I most enjoy or feel whole doing, and make sure that the private practice fits the kind of holistic life that you want to build, and not this like, oh, so-and-so said you're supposed to do this thing, and so now I have to do that, or I have to do this. But like, let yourself dream. To me, that's kind of the beauty of private practice. You can build the practice that fits your life. And so really let yourself kind of ask that question. What would that look like, from whether it's fees or insurance or how many clients you see, and schedule all of that. Like, just let it be the way that fits you best. And that's okay. Other people might do it differently, and that's totally fine.
So awesome. Marie, if people want to connect with you, if they want to follow your work, where should we send them?
Yeah. Private practice skills. I'm on the internet. I put out, except for when my hearing is gone, I put out weekly videos and usually weekly podcasts as well. And so you can find me on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Just search private practice skills. I'll be there.
Oh, so awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
You know, I love collaborating with other consultants in the field, because I feel like sometimes we're doing similar things, sometimes we're doing it different, sometimes we're saying the same thing but using different metaphors. To me, it's just such a good thing to be connected to other people doing similar work. So don't fear people that you see as, quote, competition. There's no competition. There are people that are doing work that's similar to yours, but honestly, if someone else is helping people with anxiety, they probably say things a little different than you. If someone else is doing couples work, they're not competition. They're people to connect with. They're people to grow with, to share resources with. That's the best way to level up your private practice, among all the other things we covered today. Also, talking about leveling up your practice, you know, if you were to think a year from now about what your dream practice would look like, I'm guessing you'd want to spend less time chasing claims. You'd only want to work with folks that you want to work with. You would have a network that's referring to you. Alma empowers you to confidently accept insurance, and you can learn more over at helloalma.com/Joe. Again, that's helloalma.com/Joe to get started today. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.